Welcome to the Pod Bay Door.
This is the Pod Bay Door. Join the crew every week for conversations on society, politics, and entertainment with a little bit of comedy and a whole lot of Las Vegas thrown in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're glad you joined us. And if you get the chance, subscribe to us and give us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Also, check in with us on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast.
When you think about it, when we worked at the hotel, I was 40 when I started. So you were only 30. You were their age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I've always been I have an old soul, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just I don't know. There's a different level of responsibility, I guess.
Yeah.
My parents were 48 and 30 when I was born.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had, not only did I have older parents, but I had a multi-generational thing. I mean, my father, well, clearly he was 18 years older than my mother.
Yeah.
Which, at the end, of course, that's my mom would say, "Oh gosh, that's not a good idea." 18 years is too much. But I think I benefited greatly from that. The two generations. I mean, World War II generation, the greatest generation. Yeah. And my mother's, I'm not quite sure what my mom's is. She was born in 38. I'd have to look that up. But I don't know. It's strange. Generational differences, I think, are, they're markedly different now between yours and mine, and then the millennials and Gen Ys. I hate to sound like an old man, but I mean, I don't like what the world has turned into. I think for most of my life, I have been at least involved in the fashion industry, and then a lot of it, as a photographer. And I was called shallow, and I was. And I still am as it regards that. But I think there's a shallowness to the generations of today. Now I may be overgeneralizing, and there's some really quality, millennials out there, I'm sure. But I just don't believe they're no deeper than a puddle, and it concerns me. But you know what? I think you and I are going through the same thing that every generation does. You pump your fist and use those wacky kids and their rock and roll music, and you just start to be set aside. I'm actually at only 49 years old. I'm starting to feel like I'm okay being set aside because I don't want any part of that. Unfortunately, though, I live and breathe in the tech industry. Yeah. So
Well, it's some of the things like Facebook or social media is being adopted by old people. I mean, and those are the ones I find. People that I know who are in their 60s or late 50s. Right. They're the ones that fuck it up. Yeah. They're the ones that post all the time. Yeah. That never put shit out there that I don't want to read. I don't know why are you sharing this? I don't go away. Yeah. Now I'm not saying that the young people don't do that as well. Maybe because I'm not connected to them, but that's something that's poisoned everybody.
Well, and the word connected. I don't think we're connected at all. I think Mr. Zuckerberg and his brand new yacht that he apparently purchased. I think he's proving that he's separating us. I mean, we're becoming. I've joked that we're going to end up on little hovercrafts and giant fat people and have no connection whatsoever.
Kind of like in that movie. What was it? The WALL-E.
WALL-E. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I don't feel connected. What you and I are doing right now, that's a connection. I'm sitting with you. I'm personally sitting with you. I've in past podcasts I've said I think the handshake is going to be a thing of the past. There are times when people look at me strangely when I extend my hand. It's so strange. That's the the bulwark of connection is that the kiss, the handshake, and everything else. Now we're watching cat videos on the Facebook.
Yeah. There was, I'd read something, and I don't know who originated the quote, but it was good. It said that if they could resurrect Isaac Newton and tell him, we have this box, and it has pretty much all of the knowledge of the universe that we know available through this box, and he would have thought, wow, that's really amazing. What else do you use it for? Well, mostly we use it to look at videos of cats, or a kid stepping in dog shit. That it just becomes, it could be a very powerful tool, but it's just frivolous.
And quite honestly, I use it because I have to, but to me, it's just virus farms. They're just, they're awful for computers, and there's scams and videos and everything else. But I don't know. But we'll make it past, John. I think when the big hack comes.
Yeah, and also the whole idea somehow that technology is the savior, that it's the new god. It's going to solve all the problems. I hear things. Sometimes it says, you just kick these people in the ass when they say something about, oh, look at this. Here was a farmer in Kenya, and now he has online banking. Is that going to feed the world? I mean, really, is that going to solve their problems? That he now has online banking?
Yeah.
And I get that in my job all the time about, well, we want to know how technology can help the autistic kids. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not going to turn them into a genius. Sorry. It's just not. It's or even that. And what we find, I watch kids. I've observed kids having to take assessments online, and I thought, we didn't prepare them online because I got to print everything out. And I asked their teachers, is this how they read in class on these little Chromebooks? No, we give them the handout. Well, then they should be reading that because it's really hard on a little skinny screen to read and scroll and then answer these questions and go back and read and scroll to find the information.
Right.
Because you can't look at the whole page at once. So it does change the dynamic of it, and the scores are different because of it. So it is interfering in some ways.
Oh, I think it is, and what's amazing is that, there's absolutely enough water. There's absolutely enough food. There's enough, there are enough people to help. And it has nothing to do with the internet. It has nothing to do with the speed at which we communicate. It has to do with the fact that our resources are not being placed where they should be. And the people with the billions of dollars that could scrape up just the stuff out of their wallet, they're not helping. So no, the Facebook is not helping the man in Kenya who, is desperately needing clean water. That's ridiculous. Exactly. But on to lighter things.
All right.
Do you miss the Venetian? Do you miss the hospitality industry?
I'm the only thing. Not at all. What I do miss, of course, is I miss working with you.
Well, thank you.
On a daily basis. But of course, the last couple of years I was there, I worked mostly day shift. We didn't see each other a lot. Yeah. At work, we kind of sometimes crossed over a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And there's always something strange going on.
Yeah.
But often, no, I don't miss it. I don't miss it in the least bit. And that's why, I even avoid going in there. Yeah. Going up there because it reminds me too much of it.
Yeah, that's true. I work a great deal within the hotels and on MGM's properties and Caesar's Harris, but Venetian being sort of a singular thing. I have 2 fashion shows a year I have to shoot there, and you're right, it gives me a pain. I have a cramp when I go in there.
Yeah.
And I try not to look at all the old spots. Luckily it's within the convention area, but no, I don't miss it. I did, thank you again, but and I did enjoy, as I've said, it was that first year was, I think, the most fun I've had in my entire career. It was just a blast, and it was so fun, and I made my friends there. But no, I don't miss it. Now, I'm the typical Las Vegas community member. We love living in Las Vegas because of its convenience on many levels. you can get to L.A., you can get to wherever. We're a jumping off point for most things in the country. But like all of us, when we have family, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go play bingo, or I'll go to this show, it's a burden, but no different than I'm sure any other tourist like Orlando. I'm sure they just can't stand Disneyland and all those things. But no, I don't miss it because it was such an uphill battle. I do miss some of the things, that we witnessed. I spoke to you in the pre-show about the back of the house things.
Yeah.
I've remembered a few things since you and I spoke about that. As a concierge, you and I had pretty much free reign at the time. We could go anywhere in the house, with the exception, of course, anything involving money, which that's fine. I don't want to involve that. And we'll talk about old Mr. Steve Wynn in Macau. Got his casino got robbed.
Oh, did it? I didn't hear that.
$48 million.
Wow.
Yeah. By one croupier and a cohort. Ripped him off. He got caught. There's some pretty heavy chip action. He stole chips and money. It's foolish to steal chips, I think, nowadays. But either way, we weren't allowed, near the vault or the money, but we were allowed pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we were required to go to places like the bakery, like if people don't know, as we know intimately, the bigger houses, florist. There's a full florist.
Yeah.
Full bakery. Full travel agency. I mean, it's a city within a city.
Yeah, because you think about how many people actually worked there. We had, 10,000 or something like that.
Yes, 10.
Who worked there.
Yeah.
And anyways, and they had to use that old HR bullshit of, they're team members. No, we're not.
Yes.
Call it, we're employees, whatever. Don't call us crew members or team members or gondoliers, or the hell they want to call us.
Yeah.
I still see that team member parking. Why don't you say employee parking? That's what it is.
That's right.
And I understand we're a team or whatever. You have to work together. But so often they were separate entities.
Yes.
As you said, the casino, we had very little contact, even with the dealers.
Yes.
Oh, every now and then I talk to one up in the lunchroom. We did have some contact with casino hosts,
right?
Because sometimes they needed our help on something.
I did often.
Yeah.
I did. There's casino hosts are generally a shifty bunch, but I was involved with several that were very good at what they did.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. They were popping Pepto-Bismol like it was candy.
Oh yeah.
Because they lived and breathed that based on the games. But no, and oftentimes I would be the go-between to get whatever that host's player needed. I don't believe it's the same anymore because it's become such a department store rather than a hotel. That's why I think boutique hotels are much better because you can get much more individualized service. But I was racking my brain trying to figure out my best story, and I kept going back to the same. We have many stories, and we'll try to recount those as we have our conversations. But one thing I will say that if you've seen Ocean's 11, the newer one with Mr. Clooney, there is a scene in there where the nerd tech is going to jack into the systems of the Bellagio, and he has the map written on his hand, and ultimately the sweat makes it go away, and he gets lost in the back of the house. If you're not used to it, and a fire door or something closes behind you accidentally, you can absolutely be lost like that. And the picture, the scenes that they show are the actual back of the house of the Bellagio. Those are actually real. Those are in Hollywood. But the one I remembered the most, and it was actually a friend of mine in the eyes surveillance, said, "Hey, come here, watch this." And it was the loading dock, which at the time, and that's different apparently now at the Venetian, was near the bakery.
Okay.
And so you had this wonderful, and I've mentioned this before, but we had wonderful, smells of breads and pastries and creams and everything else. And then almost immediately as you passed the bakery, it was like, a morgue. It was this horrible smell of garbage and detritus. But in that garbage and detritus, I was shown the video of two. I think if I remember right, it was a housekeeper and a porter, and they got rather amorous in the garbage area, and really amorous. I mean, they were full on having sex right there in the loading dock.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and so that I was privy to that video at the Venetian. But were you able to think anything?
Yeah, I always thought if they had a TV show, reality TV show, whatever, about hotel, and I think they did. Didn't they do Green Valley Ranch some years ago? Like
yes.
That they could actually have two different shows. One would be front of the house, dealing with the guests,
right,
and the other one would be the back of the house,
right.
Because again, we're talking about a lot of people there, and this is Las Vegas, so our moral compass, so to speak, is probably not as wound tight as they are in other places.
Right.
I've lived in places that didn't allow porn stores.
Yes.
Like you can't have them in the city limits. Shit, Las Vegas, we got a whole. We've got they got a chain of them. Right. Adult video stores,
the adult superstores.
The adult superstores are a chain, and then there's other ones. There's one. I think there's called the Love Shop. And I asked a guy, because I know a guy who works in that in there. What do they sell there? He just said tools. He's a Frenchman, so tools. He goes. There's a constant stream of women coming out of there.
Makita, Black and Decker.
Yeah. So we are a little bit looser. So you got that. You've got a job that is very stressful. Mm-hmm. We know it's thankless.
Right.
So you do have that bonding together. I think of people.
Of course.
And then you have, when you really look at front desk, you look at the bell desk, and you look at concierge, they're all pretty young. I was the oldest concierge when we started. I was 40.
Yes.
And so we're talking about most people being in their 20s. So there's going to be a lot of basic humping going on. That doesn't surprise me that happened. Except that I saw that most of those housekeepers, most of them weren't worth looking at.
Well, yes, and this was advanced humping. I mean, this was
yeah.
So,
but I remember once this bellman ran up. He didn't even know. I didn't. There's so many of them.
Right.
And you work different shifts, so sometimes it's not like you see the same people every day. Yeah, we do at our desk. Mm-hmm. We had 20? I think we had 20 concierges.
20 some odd. Yeah.
And then front desk, we got to know them really well. I had lunch with a lot of people there at the front desk. But bell desk, sometimes they'd come and go, and anyhow, this guy, he just saw the uniform. He just says, "Dude, check this out." And he gives me a slip of paper, and it had a web address on it, URL. And I said, "Okay, I'll do this when I get home. I've already been busted and grilled by the asshole from the FBI."
That's right.
So I said, I learned my lesson. I'm like, "What is it?" He goes, "You just got to see it." And he says, "You know Cassandra?" And oh shit, yes, I know Cassandra. She worked at the desk.
Yes.
She worked at the guest services, which was the bell desk.
Right.
And she would send them up and down. She was a pleasant enough girl.
I think I remember her.
She was like early 20s, something like that. But she was sweet. So anyhow, I go home and I get this. I type in the URL. So it is. Oh Jesus, shit! There she is. And there's a picture. I see her. She's on a bearskin rug, and she's in her panties, and she's selling her underwear. Her dirty underwear online. Yes. She has a different name. You're not going by Cassandra. It's something, Desiree or Sky or something like that. Something like you would find.
Panties galore.
And and she's selling them like ordering a pizza, for Christ's sake. Because you can, quite literally, how many toppings do you want?
Right.
And I thought, holy shit, I know this. Oh, Christ's sake, now I got to go to work and look at her and pretend that I don't know what's going on, because I thought, her biggest mistake was don't ever tell a guy that.
Yeah.
She told a guy, and of course she's going to run and blab. Yeah. Guys are as bad and big a gossips as women are.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you not that's one thing, but I mean, and I think we've talked about this in the podcast. You lived in Japan 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years.
And there are vending machines.
Yes.
For used underwear.
For used underwear with the picture, supposedly like a baseball card of a girl, and always in a high school uniform, because that's the appeal there. Yeah. In the eggshell there. But now this one, I mean, I really knew her.
Yes.
And it's just like, hey, how's it go? I mean, at the desk. I don't mean how the panty sales are going. But I really was curious. I mean, do you really have guys wanting to buy it with all the toppings but yeah, it was hard to look at her again and then pretend like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, right.
Just like saying, you see somebody that's missing an ear and you don't try not to stare at it.
Right.
Hey, what happened to your ear, man?
Well, I mean, we've talked about it. It's the gig economy. I mean, I guess whatever sells, you sell it as much as you can.
So you had that, and then there was a assistant manager at the front desk, and of course we really didn't we didn't know what they were like to work with a lot of them.
Right.
And she was this cute little blonde. She had really sparkly blue eyes. I think her name was Tracy. Do you remember her? She had short blonde hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's familiar. I'll work on it. Go ahead.
Yeah. But anyhow, she was there, and I guess maybe
Yes, I do. I remember exactly. Who you're talking.
And I, of course, I just knew who she was. I'd have to ask her for things now and then, but she was always quite pleasant.
Right.
And then there's guys back there, and they're pissed off because they didn't get the shift that they wanted or the time off.
Right.
So all of a sudden, they're telling me, oh yeah, well I know this guy, and he met Tracy in a bar, and he took her home, and she was a bad lay, and all this. I said, oh, is that? Why are they telling me this? But of course, they weren't going to say she's a good lay because they didn't get the hours that they wanted.
Right.
But,
well, that's that. In that case, Las Vegas is the same. I mean, it's water cooler talk everywhere.
Yeah.
We just happen to have the gaming and the hotels and the neon lights and people think it's different, and it is different. It is different living here. I think you'll agree. You have to learn to live here. This ain't Connecticut. It's a town where there are some pitfalls, and if you get in them, it's very difficult to get out. Especially if you're an obsessive person. Gambling is a terrible thing, and we have all of them: gambling, sex, alcohol. Everything,
it's all
drugs.
thrown together in a stew pot.
Yeah, absolutely. But back at the house, we get a lot of emails and regarding what's behind the scenes stuff, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So we'll try to talk about as much as we can. But I do remember those people you talk about.
Yeah, and you're talking about getting lost. I mean, that happened to me. I mean, I'm supposed to be the guy who knows this whole hotel.
Yeah.
But we would go in the back. If you remember, for a while, because they were redoing we were going to move our desk. We had a telecom, and we had to go upstairs.
Right. Yes.
And share it with the regular telecom. When you call into the hotel at that time, because you didn't make reservations online back in 1999, 2000.
No.
Almost all of the reservations were done by phone.
By phone, yeah.
So when you called the 1-800 number, you got the telecom people.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to share that area with them, and they didn't like us up there.
No.
Part of it was maybe the snide comments about. You went up there. Every one of those women probably had a body mass index of about 40, and no wonder when you went up there they always had a gigantic 5-gallon vat of caramel corn or cheese whiz or cheese balls, and they would each grab handfuls and sit at at their console there and nibble all day and graze. And then we have our lovely women go up there from our desk.
Oh, I know.
And sit there, and you can just see the dirty looks.
Oh, it was catty. It was catty.
But we had to walk up there. We instead of going through the hotel where we could get stuff, we would go up the back way.
Yes.
And if one of those doors closed, you forgot what floor you were on because it wasn't marked.
Right.
How many flights of stairs have I gone up? I'm going to go out this way. Realize, holy shit, this is like it was something out of like Die Hard. If you remember when he was in the back there, and it's just like, wait a minute, they were doing some construction.
Unfinished drywall.
And it's like, oh shit, I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, no, there are so many secret spots, and we learned quite a few of them. But you're right, there would be that door. You would go through, and I remember that very clearly. There was one where there was a door where you would end up outside. And if you let it shut, you would be outside and have to walk all the way around the front to get back in. Oh, absolutely. It's no different than the Die Hard movies. But I have breaking news, John.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really not breaking. I just wanted to say. Everybody says breaking news. Everything is breaking now.
Yeah.
But talk about the Wynn robbery.
Yeah.
$48 million. One guy. I mean, good for him. Good try, but he didn't do it. Spagos. Did you hear Spagos is closing?
No,
I believe it has closed.
Oh.
25 years.
Wow.
Mr. Puck had Spagos.
Why is he closing?
Moving. But it's all money, and he's moving to the Bellagio at the Bellagio shops. But 25 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I mean, I think you and I, if I remember right, John, you and I, when we were training for our positions. We ate there. We went there and ate there, and they were always very nice concierge because
Wolfgang Puck was.
Yeah, Puck was. Yeah,
we had Postrio in the Venetian. That was really nice.
It was excellent, and of course, we had a tremendous benefits. Besides all the problems John and I talk about, we had some great benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, we would eat for free, and we would go to shows for free. In research, I mean, and all kidding aside, we would research that, and so we would be able to tell people. I don't believe they do that anymore. I think they just say, yeah, Spago, Caesars, you want a reservation, blah blah.
Yeah.
But
some of them were nice. They were nice. Other ones, they wouldn't give us 5 cents or do anything, and then expect us to book the restaurant. I said, look, it's not a thing like I expect you to grease my palm.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it because I don't know. I haven't been there.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to spend $45 for an endive salad.
Yes.
But
and the third breaking news that I read was the Hard Rock Hotel.
I heard that.
Mr. Branson and his Virgin Hotels is they haven't announced it yet, but I think it's a pretty much a done deal. So the cafe closed, of course, right in front of the Hard Rock Hotel. But I think the Branson money will improve that. I know that they wallowed for a long time. They were owned by one of the Indian tribes. I just don't think they got the energy that Vegas needed, I think they were going the way of the Lucky Dragon. Branson, I think he would be second to like Elon Musk as far as the good money, good flow of the money, and the good energy of his money coming in. I think that he does demand a certain level of quality that the Hard Rock hasn't seen for a while. So.
Now, is he going to change the name, or is it still going to be Hard Rock?
Again, it was very little information, and it was hinting here and there. Sources say, but no, I don't believe he'll change it because it's still a solid brand. It's a global brand. There's a Hard Rock everywhere. I'm sure there's Hard Rock in Philippines.
Yeah,
but
and certainly one in Tokyo. I've been to that one.
One of the things that is happening very soon, I believe, is the theater on the Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah.
We call it the Showcase Theater. It's a United Artists.
The one down by MGM.
Yeah. And the whole parking issue, which still irritates me to death, is closing. And I think it's within days or very few weeks of closing. It got me thinking about movies. And I know I had asked John. John and I, work a great deal, obviously, as everybody does, and we don't have a lot of time for movies. So we don't review movies very often. But I asked John, what movies you've seen, and one of the ones you mentioned was Atomic Blonde.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought it had, sort of the darkness, of Zero Dark 30. And the fight choreography, much like the Bourne series, especially the middle Bourne series. And Theron, her flexibility as far as what she can do. You go from 1,000 Ways to Die in the West with Seth MacFarlane, which was, just a terrible film, but it was really funny actually. To this, but it got a 63.
Is that all?
On IMDb. And I found that to be unfair, although Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, I don't care about that crap.
Yeah, I didn't look at any of those reviews, but because I evaluate a movie based on what is it that the director because the same with a book or a novelist, what are they trying to achieve? Who is their audience?
Right.
And I'm not going to evaluate a genre film like I would something that is a quote unquote more serious film, because again they serve different purposes, and it's the same way when we say, what was the best movie of the year? Was Wonder Woman in there? To me, it says like, come on, that to me was a genre film. I think I have to look at it as saying, well, that's you have to put that in a special category of superhero movies.
Yeah, was
it the best superhero movie? But only comparing it to other superhero movies. I can't compare that to something that's a little more serious, like The Post or something.
Oh no, and I've not seen The Post. I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be a fantastic film. Molly's Game too. I'm really looking forward to that. But you mentioned Wonder Woman, and our Gal Gadot issue earlier, which we were going to have an episode to talk about all of the responses. But recently saw, this is just an aside, Super Troopers. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
By Broken Lizard Productions. Very funny group of guys. Super Troopers 2 coming out, and Linda Carter.
Wow.
Plays a mayoral character in there, and I saw her in the trailer, and the true Wonder Woman, in my opinion, Linda Carter. I want her to come back. She looks amazing.
Well, how old is she? Must be 70.
Yes. Yeah, but thoroughly amazed by how she looks, and she will always be Wonder Woman to me. But back to Atomic Blonde. Do you like James McAvoy?
Yeah, I saw him in that in the M. Night Shyamalan film. Was it
Split?
Yeah, I thought he was good in that. I would, this movie, when I watched this must have been based on a graphic novel or comic book, just because of the comic book type violence in it. It was way over the top, but it was fine because that's what they were going for. It had that sexiness to it, and it had, what was it, Sophia Boutella, and the thing about her is she's not very pretty, but she has a great deal of sex appeal. I can't quite put my hands on it. I mean, I would like to, but yeah, there's just something when you just look at her.
Put a rim shot in there.
Yeah. I look and say, I don't know. Yeah, look at her photograph. It's just like but I don't know when I see her. I saw her in The Mummy. I saw her in this movie, and I thought, wow, she's got a lot of sex appeal.
Agreed, and of course John Goodman minus a lot of weight.
Yes,
John looks great. He always plays he's been jumping into Black Ops, dark side roles, spooks of the CIA and everything.
I liked him in Clover. Is it 10 Cloverfield
10
Lane?
Cloverfield, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
It really good to realize this guy's nuts, and then you realize, not really.
And of course Toby Jones. Toby Jones has been jumping. I mean, he of course he did the Capote.
Yeah.
Did a good one, not as good as Hoffman. But I think he did a decent job. But he's of course jumped into the Marvel universe. He was played in the Hydra officer and the computer. But here he plays another great character. But I love the grayness of the film. You had mentioned when we were talking about the films, you had mentioned seeing foreign films, some French films, and they are notoriously gray. I don't know if the ones were that you were seeing, but there was a grayness to it, and almost a sort of a defeatist nature as far as her character going through. I mean, nothing worked right for her.
Yeah.
And in the very end, of course, she has her comeuppance, but or they get their comeuppance from her. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was it had the reviews called it slow. I found that to be an unacceptable overstatement.
Well, for almost any espionage type movie is going to have a really convoluted plot.
Yes.
And this one did too, in some ways.
Yeah.
It was this way, who's double crossing who and who's the double agent.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, then you get to the point where, who cares? Let's just watch the fight scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And slow, if you want to talk about slow and espionage films, both the modern version and the Alec Guinness version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Those are really slow.
Oh my gosh. But I love them.
Yeah, I do too.
Love them. Now, Gary Oldman, I can't say enough about Gary Oldman. He's fantastic. However, the original with Alec Guinness. Oh my gosh! Yeah. I mean, I could watch that over and over. But I'm rare. I mean, obviously you love it, but I mean, if you talk about today's modern audience, they couldn't make it, or they'd have to watch it in 4 sessions. But it's very slow.
Yeah,
very slow. But the author is Le Carré.
Yeah,
he's.
He was a spy himself.
He was, yes. Yeah. But so we got to think of I don't want to give it 1 to 10 or tomatoes or apples or whatever. We got to think of I guess thumbs up or thumbs down.
And I always thought when they always say the best movie of the year or the 10 best, I thought, why don't they say their favorite movies of the year?
Yes.
Because obviously that's what it is. It's the ones that they liked.
Right.
And you can like a movie for different reasons. I mean, there are movies that I like that I could tell, you know what, this is really a bad movie. I know it is. Or it's silly, it's stupid, like Ace Ventura. But I like Jim Carrey, enough in the scenes in that movie, which were really like, let's have some funny scenes. We'll try to put a story together along with it.
Yeah.
And so I like that movie. And I would say that, I really enjoy it. Now, was a great film? No, of course not. But I'm not evaluating it in the same way that I would evaluate, Warren Beatty's Reds.
Right.
So
Right.
it's the filmmaker or the producers, the director. They have an idea in their mind what they want to do, what their audience is, and were they successful in doing that?
Right. Yeah. Well, John, I appreciate it. The Pod Bay Door has got a new co-host, obviously, Big John Thorpe. Now next week we're gonna make it controversial. We're gonna
get more hate mail.
It's gonna be I don't know. They're too stoned to write hate mail. We're gonna talk about marijuana and movies.
Oh, all right. Together?
We are. And we're going to talk about the controversies of the marijuana issue here in Las Vegas. We're going to do some research as far as how it's going, what's happening. I got some people that I can talk to get some numbers behind it. Finally, I found them. And we're going to get we have a couple of friends in the movie industry here. We're going to talk about Las Vegas movies and get some stories and background about Las Vegas movies and what's coming up in Las Vegas movies. So stick with us next week. John and I will talk about marijuana and movies, but check in with our blog at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com, and you can see any backup articles and reciprocal links that we put on there. We appreciate you, John. Thank you so much. We will see everybody next week. Bye-bye. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.